What's going on?
Ooh, buying blood, are we? So many people longing this downward market. Oh boy. I hope that hasn't been you. If you have, don't sweat it. Sometimes, as we say to some of our guys, sometimes the best trades are the ones that you don't make. So if
Mm,
you are getting hurt by this market, dust yourself off and wait for a better setup. A lot of people getting liquidated at the moment, and these tumultuous chimes are making the best traders. So enjoy this process, but I understand there's going to be a point where we eventually stop. But will it be right now? Well, we're not super confident, but at least this last week has played out really well for a lot of our members and for us as well, ads.
mm.
But what are we seeing at the moment, man? We've got a few things. We've been making definitely pulling back a lot from alts. You would know that we trade alts quite a fair bit here in the inner circle, and here at UTG we share a lot of alt setups. Last week I shared Vite BTC. It was a hidden coin. I asked people to DM me if they were wanting to know what the coin was. A number of you guys did. So that was Vite BTC. We did 12.5% overnight on that one before we exited. That's obviously eaten it. You can see on the right hand side of the screen there, Ion, which was a really great trade for us, 19% down, ADA 6%, BAT 6%. FUSD caught a nice scalp on that this afternoon. Paul, if you're watching this, PB, we caught a nice little scalp on for around 23% just this afternoon at around 184 or 170, I think, before we
Mm,
dipped down.
mm.
ETH we're going to get to in just a minute. But yeah, for myself, I'm out of all alt positions with the exception of Ethereum. So I'm only trading BTC and Ethereum at the moment. As I said a second ago, a lot of our guys are starting to do a little bit of scalping, as am I. I really enjoyed the low time frames. The volatility at the moment has provided some really nice little setups. It is a little bit more of an advanced trading strategy, so unless you are familiar with low time frame trading, I would definitely stay away from that. Stick to your swing trading, as Ads and I primarily sort of do. But yeah, really enjoying the lower time frames at the minute. But Ads BTC, let's get into it.
At the moment, Ty, we were looking at. Actually, I'll bring up this morning's chart, which was
Yeah.
here.
So as we know, we do a daily BTC update, sometimes multiple daily updates as we have been doing lately, but this was Ads' chart from this morning.
Yeah, so posted at 10 o'clock this morning on the March 12th, which is today. Look, we did have a little bit of a spiel on the Discord about what is going to happen, but essentially you could probably tell from the arrow that's where we were expecting it to end up. At that daily demand, back at that pivot point at around the 7.2 mark, or even at the 78.6 fib retracement, and looking at that overall uptrend on the weekly also. Fast forward to this afternoon or this evening, and we've seen that play out pretty much perfectly. What I was looking at, Ty, was this break of demand level here. All right, so we've pushed through, and then when we've started to retest this zone, which coincidentally is the 61.8 fib retracement as well, we've been rejected quite a number of days now on that level, and the only way for it is down, Ty.
Yeah, and you could tell by the candle structure there wasn't a lot of strength to the upside. One of the benefits of what we teach inside the inner circle, and I guess probably what we're pretty well known for, is our use of supply and demand. And that's something that we dive into a lot, and we can tell by the depth of the piercing into that demand block, now supply, that it was unlikely that it was going to hold. So
Yeah.
we've been saying for a little bit on Tuesday night, we did a pretty deep dive into some other things. We were looking at points of control and where a lot of the nodes and the liquidity was at the time. So Tuesday night, we called this 7-3 move, 7-2 move downwards. And as I said to our guys on Tuesday night, 3 or 4 weeks ago, or however long ago it was, I thought 8-2, 8-4 was going to be the bottom of that move, and happy to be sort of called wrong on that, and obviously to have to adjust our strategy accordingly. But thankfully, and we're very grateful for it, on Tuesday night we went through this and why we believed this was going to be a significant zone, and the trade went our way. So we were grateful for that.
Absolutely. And you can do that, and it's not financial advice, but you can always jump onto brokers or exchanges like BitMEX and go 1x either direction to hedge yourself against a market that's moving in either direction, to protect yourself from these moves if you want to protect capital. So protecting capital is the number one name of the game. So yeah, something like that might be of interest to any of you watching out there.
Yeah, and if you do need to know a little bit more about stable coins as well, we do have a video and a guide on our website. Just type in Unity Trading Group stable coins. Pax is our stable coin of choice, which you can find on Binance and a lot of the other majors. We don't touch Tether or anything like that for a few reasons. But yeah, Pax is another great way to do that as well outside of BitMEX.
Yeah, BitMEX is... I know a lot of people don't use it, but you can always... You can always... go 1x short and protect yourself. So, for example, if you're 1x short on a $1,000 account, for example, as the price moves down 10, 20, 30%, you'll obviously accumulate 10, 20 or 30% more BTC. So it'll even itself out. It's actually a good way to hedge yourself against a falling market. So the benefit of that is that you could obviously bring stop losses and use trailing stops and everything like that. So it's a little bit more flexible than selling out into a stable coin tie.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people don't think of. Preserving sats and preserving your money is the aim of the game in volatile moments like this. So, if you aren't trading it, that's definitely an idea as well.
Absolutely.
So, moving forward on BTC, really this next demand block has to sort of hold. Beyond that, we could, as our friend David Modell sort of says, return to the scene of the crime down towards that 6.4, 6.5 level. At the moment, I was looking at sort of 7.325 as my next level of interest. We can see we've got this overall uptrend line here as well, 78's fib support and this newest demand zone. So we also know when we put on our visible range, which we don't have to do here, but we did go through that on Tuesday night with our guys. This was a point of control and where a lot of liquidity was lying around this 7.3, 7.2 level. There was a number of nodes there. So again, a little bit of liquidity holding up hopefully at this point here. Obviously one other strategy, and again, as Ad said, this is not financial advice, but if you do believe you are nearing a bottom, you could dollar cost average into a position, which obviously brings your entry price down a little bit, and rather than just sort of buying at this point here, and then if it happens to get to 6.4, buying down there again with it just allows you to be a little bit more careful in a declining market like this. But again, you've got to trust your TA. So yeah, obviously these are the levels that we're looking at. We do go a lot deeper into that inside the inner circle. We did post a little bit about that today as well. But yeah, that's what we're looking for right now.
Look, the benefit of setting a couple of orders and averaging yourself into the market is you're not catching a falling knife. It's going to be extremely difficult to catch the exact price. Look, it can be a little bit easier if you're using supply and demand. Obviously, we catch the prices fairly regularly, but in any case, in a massively volatile market, and if there's a lot of money being thrown around either side of the book, price can go anywhere it wants. So just gradually entering the market and setting a couple of orders just to make sure that you're in that spot is probably not a bad idea, Ty. So it's good advice. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Shall we move on to F ads?
Yes, we can have a quick look at
FUSD. And if you remember last week, I think we were sitting at around 225 stats. I think we were sitting at, and I think we might have our chart there as well. We called 188 was our level of interest for F. So that's been a really good trade for us, catching that one. Again, grateful for that trade. 188 was a point for a long time. For myself now, if we can't hold this level here, earlier today on our scalping session, put in a trade at sort of 173, closed it at around 160, 169 or so. I think we took 25% on that. But really for myself now, I'm looking at I'm getting a lot of confluence around 155, sort of 155 USD. And then short term right now, if I were scalping, I was going to hold the position a little bit longer. I was looking for $163. So you can see there where ads has drawn up the demand zones there. It lines up pretty well with kind of what I'm after. Again, a little bit of confluence around this area for myself too as we approach this demand zone.
Absolutely. Look, and a lot of these, even Bitcoin as well, which has fared way better, might I add, than a lot of the regulated stuff in the last week or so. But yeah, a lot of these zones are quite strong, to be honest. We're coming up to this zone here at the $160 mark and the 155 that Ty mentioned, and we're starting to see the oscillators, get towards the oversold level and get in that position where we could have a bounce and continue maybe having our run up. But we need to see if this stabilizes. So the honest opinion right now is to the game plan would be to wait for some sort of bounce and see where these levels are going to hold and maybe take your position that way, Ty.
Yeah, and after that trade that we had from 225, as we sort of say to a lot of guys, and as Ads said just a second ago, don't try and catch a falling knife. You are far better to lose a couple of percent if you are swing trading and not worrying over marginal potential losses, is to wait for a level of confirmation. We saw a dead cat bounce with BTC when everyone was sort of loading up around 7.5, thinking that was going to be the next major level. I think we got to 8,123, which I think we actually did call inside the inner circle for our guys before that was going to be the top of that move down. So again, you look for some sort of nice bullish engulfing or test of this demand zone and a nice confirmation, whether it be a couple of 4-hour candles or indeed a daily candle, before you wait to see a nice bit of volume coming in before you look for to sort of enter any positions. But if we do look back towards the 16th of December, where Steamroller gave us our oversold indicator and told us that we were headed for an upward move, we've obviously still got a little bit to go before we get to that point again on our custom Steamroller indicator, which is the one just there that Ads is highlighting there. So in my opinion, still a little bit of room to move down. We might find a little bit of a hold up around this area, but I would not be surprised to see it continue lower from here. Absolutely. I'm definitely looking for sort of 150, 155 at this point.
And that really plays into what I said about, waiting for some confirmation. Honestly, you need to wait for some sort of, like you said, bullish engulfing. You need to wait for some sort of sign that price action is going to respect one of these zones, and then take your positions accordingly to that. So
100%. Out of interest, I might even see if we can bring up LTC Ads.
Yeah, no problem. BTC.
Or the USD pair, whatever. Oh, yeah, there we go. So that played out all right. I wasn't aware that we had charted that.
No, we charted that during one of our Tuesday night sessions, which played out quite nicely, actually. It hit both the targets that we were looking for back then. We haven't looked at it since then, so they're gone now. But honestly, with LTC heading back to this lower demand level, looking like our oscillators are playing out to that outcome as well, and that's the 5644 or 5600 sats on LTC.
Yeah, and again, very much the same with Steamroller, giving us a nice indication there around the 16th of December. So we're entering into an oversold condition according to LTC as our CCI and our RSI are starting to head down as well. Yeah. So interesting to see what happens on that one in the next little bit.
Absolutely. This I'm quite surprised, actually. A lot of these cryptos are faring a little better than what I would have thought, considering the market situation at the moment. So not too bad.
Yeah. And lastly, let's have a look at XRP USD.
XRP USD, I know that's not faring as well as we all hoped it would, but we are heading back down to the scene of the crime, as Ty would say, after retesting that demand that we smashed through. All right, and that would be at the 18-cent mark, Ty, back where we bounced from the 17th of December.
Yeah, and we know that's a pretty strong demand zone. Again, getting a little bit of confluence. And listen, I say this pretty loosely because the volatility that we're seeing in the market, not just the BTC or the crypto market, but the global markets, leads to a lot of uncertainty as we reach pivot points like this or significant demand zones. Anything could really change. So this is a pretty decent demand zone on XRP USD. Steamroller starting to give us now a potential long condition there. We see we've got a fair bit of selling pressure as we have across the market as well, but that's a strong demand zone. And again, our indicators starting to near the bottom of their runs. But when it comes to coins like XRP, which I don't trade a great deal, but am looking to certainly in the next little bit, this is a time when I start paying attention. But in my opinion, in the next sort of probably, I've been looking at a few things, and I'm looking for the next day or two to give a little bit of a pivot, sort of I wouldn't say a Garn pivot, but a few sort of things that I'm looking at that I've been sharing with dads behind the scene. But between now and I think the 20th, I think are going to be some very interesting times, sort of on my charts, at least from a Garn perspective, of when we might be seeing some turning points in this potential market. So yeah, interested to see what the next week brings.
One last thing I want to look at is the total market cap. And looking at the total market cap, I haven't charted this on earlier, so you'd have to forgive me. We're looking like we've smashed through that level, and the next one more than likely would be down at the 186 bill mark, Ty. So we could see another 20 billion wiped off about 12 billion wiped off the face of the crypto market cap before we see some more bullish, before we see some sort of bounce, should I say. Yeah. Not bullish movements, before we see some sort of bounce.
Some relief. And seeing people calling, it's so interesting how the sentiment changes so rapidly for so many traders, which probably indicates that you shouldn't be trading this market, or at least get a hold on your psychology. For me as an investor, I hedge out, or I jump into stable coins like PAX when I want to sort of preserve capital like this, but I also do have a percentage of my holdings that I either trade with or I just sort of let do its thing. When it gets to levels like this, it really doesn't faze me, because I believe in the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole. So, I see people calling for sort of 5 and 5.5, and then even some people calling back for 3.86 and stuff. Do I think we'll get to that point? No, I don't. I think we're reaching this logarithmic growth curve that we see guys posting. Yeah. And I think a really good source for that would be someone called Dave the Wave on Twitter. I've reached out to him for an interview on the podcast. He wants to stay anonymous, which is totally fine, but he's probably one of the best log growth curve analysts in the game by far. And he showed some good causes for why this is getting near to the bottom of a move. But do I think we'll get to 5.5 and stuff like that? I don't think we will. I think we are certainly getting close to a period where we might start seeing a reversal and things might start to change their tune a little bit. But with the global, people look to BTC as this, this hedge against uncertain times, almost like a digital sort of gold. This has sort of proved that that's maybe not necessarily the case. But we've got to look about where we were throughout the course of the beginning of the year, or rather the beginning of last year, to where we are now, from that 3-4 moment to where we are now. Certainly is a very good performing asset. Bitcoin's not going to zero at any time, in my opinion, or $1,000 like I've been seeing on Twitter. I don't think we'll get to 5.5 in my opinion.
And I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that.
So if you're not in the game and you're looking for positions, pay attention in the next little bit. Certainly over the next week or so. That this looks like an important point for me. It could go deeply wrong, but I do think the next 7 days are going to be very pivotal for this market. So keep your eyes peeled. And again, you can go to unitytradinggroup.com. You can look at all our videos there. Our 3-step trading strategy, which we're getting some really great reviews. Thank you for everybody who's made comments on that. Identifying what type of trader you are. You're a swing trader, a scalper. We're getting into scalping a lot more at the moment. This volatility is providing some really interesting trading times. We're going to have a live session with our guys, just a casual sort of beer and BitMEX session next little bit as well. So you can learn everything you want to know over at unitytradinggroup.com, and come and join us in the inner circle if you want to come and have a bit of a play and learn how we do these things.
Absolutely.
All right. In the meantime, please trade safe. Do not let your emotions get the better of you, and understand that there's a life outside trading. This provides some great trading setups, yes, but don't let it get the better of you.
Zoom out, please.
Zoom out. Look left.
Zoom out. Absolutely. Zoom out.
All right. Until next Thursday, thank you so much for being here. If you do provide or do see some value in this, please feel free to share this with someone that might need to see, and we really look forward to seeing you next Thursday.
Perfect.
See you soon.
Catches.